Hey, this is Brian Stillman at CES 2020, bringing you all the greatest coverage from the greatest technology convention in the world in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm with Aaron Jefferson from ZF.
Yes. Hello.
You are here to talk about automated driving.
Yes.
Not autonomous.
Not autonomous.
Automated driving.
Automated driving.
And you have various systems that are in cars today that help with the driving experience.
Yes.
Explain that to us. What's going on?
So, for years and years, there were a lot of discussions around vehicles being able to drive autonomously, meaning maybe you go to sleep or you work on some things on your way to work and
Right.
the car handles everything. Or you go to work and you park the car and then the car goes and picks up somebody else and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which would be great. However, that is a very difficult scenario to be able to deliver to the market. There's a lot of liability concerns there, and there's just huge costs. So now, the market has kind of settled down a bit and really focused on how do I bring as much comfort and safety to the driver. So a lot of people have long commutes back and forth to work or get stuck in traffic jams.
Right.
It's stressful. You could actually be doing something else in terms of just thinking about your day, which takes your mind off the driving function anyway.
Yeah.
So what we're really focused on now is being able to take your hands off the wheel. You still have to maybe have your eyes forward, be aware of the traffic conditions, but you don't have to be in complete control with your hands on during a long drive. And that's really what the market is trying to settle down to. So that takes a lot of processing in itself, so compute power, sensing around the vehicle. But it is technology that's ready today, and there are systems that we can deliver today, and they'll grow in functionality over time as well.
So what are some of the things that you're taking out of the hands, no pun intended, of drivers? Like what would these systems be taking over?
So it will be taking over the driving and the steering function. So let's just say today you can buy a vehicle where you get on the highway, all the conditions are met, meaning maybe it's a clear day, no snow on the road, things of that nature. You push a button, and then that car will stay in that lane and essentially take you all the way down I-75 or 210, whatever highway you're on, and control all the driving functions. So if you're in a traffic jam, it'll stop and go for you and just manage that so you don't have to take your foot off the brake and all that kind of stuff. If you're going down the roadway and traffic in front of you is slow, but the lane to the left of you is clear, it'll overtake that lane for you. And so it's just really all the driving function while you're there. You just can't, take your mind off. You really have to still stay focused so that in the event something happens and you need to take back control, you're ready to do that.
How does it compensate? Well, first of all, how does it do that? Before I start digging even deeper into that, how does it even doing that? What sort of sensors are involved? What sort of internal processing is involved that allows it to make those decisions? I think it's one thing if you're on a straight highway and it's the car in front of you slows down, so it understands, okay, there's something in front of me, I'm going to slow down. But changing lanes, overtaking drivers, all those things that are somewhat complicated when you really start breaking it down.
Yeah.
How's it doing that?
So it's doing that with, today's sensor suite is really camera and radar. I'll talk camera first. So in the front of the vehicle, for the most part, a fair amount of vehicles, especially in Europe and North America is growing. We're moving toward 100% where you'll have a front camera in your vehicle. And that camera is basically looking forward like our eyes do. You're detecting people, objects, lanes, traffic signs, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then you also have a processor, and that's computing that data.
Okay.
So the processing, and we use Mobileye. Mobileye is a computer vision algorithm supplier. They have wonderful systems, and what we do is we utilize their output that says, hey, that is an object, that's a vehicle in front of you, there's a pedestrian crossing the street, and we utilize that, and then we determine what the vehicle function needs to be. So that camera, and we use the compute power from that, and we develop the functions, which means stop, go, turn left, turn right, things of that nature. If you add to that radar is your accurate distance measurement. So you mentioned ACC, your adaptive cruise control. You know exactly how far you are from the car in front of you, and you just set your time to collision or your distance speed, and you just keep your pace behind that vehicle. Well, we have radar around the vehicle. So radar in the rear of the vehicle, the rear corners, can detect if there's something in your blind spot. It can also detect if there's something quickly coming up into your adjacent lane. So let's just say you're on the highway, you're cruising along, and you say, hey, this car is going slow, I want to change lanes. You hit the indicator, it utilizes the radar that says, is anything there? If there's nothing there, then it starts to make the maneuver safely. The camera recognizes that I also have a free lane ahead, and then it adjusts the speed and then makes another change back over to the lane.
Okay, so let's say we're in that scenario.
Yeah.
Things look clear. I decide I want to get over to another lane. I start to move, and that's when some crazy guy decides to just cruise in, a million miles an hour out of nowhere in no way that anyone could have predicted. How does it handle that, and how can I trust that it'll handle that in a way where we don't all get killed?
And that's kind of an example on the Autobahn where you could be driving along at 160 kph, and here comes a Porsche at 220, right? So if you're on that scenario, what it's doing, that radar is continuously looking back. Excuse me. So it doesn't look back once and then say, hey, everything's clear. It's continuously monitoring. So imagine if you had eyes in the back of your head. If you didn't see that crazy guy coming up, you just abort the maneuver and get back into your lane. So that's really what it's doing. It's not a once check and then go. It is a continuously monitoring 360 around the vehicle and also in front. So it's kind of like better than us to a certain extent because we can only see. So every time we look in our blind spot, we're taking our eyes off the front of the road. It is literally visualizing the environment around it, 360 real time, and you're talking about, it's going to sound weird, but like 10 milliseconds, it's just you're constantly looking at data, and making a decision. So it actually can do better than us.
How have we ended up at this point? You talked in the very beginning, you were talking about how initially it was all about autonomous driving. We're going to have self-driving cars that do everything, Knight Rider, which is my dream. It's still my dream. We're going to have that. Turbo boost. But it sounds like the industry is scaling back. It sounds like it's saying, okay, we tried for this, much too difficult. What can we do? Is that what's happening? Is that what the trend we're going to be seeing in the industry in terms of bringing this sort of automation to vehicles?
I think so, and I think it was more of the ambition of, hey, if we can implement this technology and do it in a cost-affordable way, the ultimate utopia is no more accidents ever. And that's really the driving factor. So it's not like, hey, we want to make this big splash. It's like, hey, if we can really provide this technology to society, we make society better. There are a lot of people that simply just cannot drive. I mean, if you really want to be honest, there are a lot of people that can't drive.
I've seen it.
So if you can remove that from the road, then that would help. The problem is, I think in the U.S., you have the litigious nature of just our society. Nobody's really willing to sign up for that liability. And then the cost. People didn't realize how much compute power you need to really be able to collect all that data around you. And then also, I mean, if you're talking pure level 4 and really, really working all the time, you're talking about environmental conditions, you're talking about any kind of construction hazards. And so the world is a complicated space, and there's no one neat way to package that up. If we keep the driver in the loop, now everybody says, hey, not only can we deliver functions and still bring comfort, but I can build the confidence of your next car, if it comes with, just to say, this lane center, and you can take your hands off the wheel, it'll give you confidence so that the next set of functions that you can trust it a bit more. And that's really where the market has kind of settled down into. And also regulatory. I mean, the government is trying to figure out what should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed, because they are also responsible for the lives on the road as well. And so you have that factor as well.
Is there the risk of us creating lazy drivers, though? Drivers who are relying too much on the technology. And so I understand the idea is that the technology is there, the driver's still in place to act as a check if something goes wrong. But if I get too complacent, if I'm like, okay, the computer's got this, the computer's got this, the computer's got this, is there the risk that that's going to generate bad habits among drivers? Because when I drive, I'm doing everything in my power to stay as alert as I can.
Are you?
Well, at least I think I am.
Okay.
And I'm attempting to. But if I know someone's taking over for stuff, am I going to become inclined to be a little more relaxed, a little more casual? I'm not saying I can do better than a computer, but I'm attempting to do as well as I can.
That's a fair question. I don't know if people would get too comfortable because it is still extremely trusting to travel at 80 miles per hour and take your hands and feet off of everything. And so I think you have to be extremely comfortable with technology. The honest fact is most people are not paying full attention to the road. So people are so ingrained in their phones and getting alerts and checking things that even today there are lane keeping systems I think people may depend on a bit too much. So they actually distract themselves more. There are AEB systems, so people have their heads down into their phones.
We've seen those pictures of the people who fell asleep in their Teslas.
Exactly.
I mean, that's doing what we're sort of talking about, and that person is is clearly very comfortable with the situation.
That's where I would say your traditional automakers understand and know that I have to have a driver monitoring system in the vehicle to ensure that that driver does not become lazy. And that was the fault of what you just mentioned in terms of people were misusing or abusing the system.
Yeah, of course.
The traditional automaker knows that users will. So how do you combat that? And so you put a system in place that makes sure that they remain attentive and focused 100% of the time.
Right.
So that driver monitoring system is critical.
Rock hard seats with spikes.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm not buying that vehicle.
Don't make it too comfortable. So where are these systems? These systems are out there right now.
Yeah.
What vehicles have you guys partnered with to put these systems out on the road?
So we provide the camera and a central computing component for Cadillac CT6, where you can do single lane automated highway driving. They have a driver monitoring camera, very capable system. And GM is expanding upon that. We have a camera in the BMW system, I think for the X Series products that supports highway driving and supports some level of lane change. Tesla we don't provide, but you're aware of what Tesla provides to the market. Yeah. And so those are our two main examples. We also have, not necessarily in North America yet, but we support Nissan's ProPilot and ProPilot 2 with our camera functionality and capability. And they do a really good job of putting that technology out in the market. And then there are a slew of others that we don't have product on that our competitors do.
Well, I'm curious. I'm curious about what you've got out there. I mean, generating those partnerships. Was it difficult to get the car manufacturers on board with this? Was it difficult to work with them to sort of get away from their traditional, four wheels and a steel frame?
If you think about the automakers are still trying to differentiate, and they're saying, hey, how can I be better than the next? That competition still exists. Tesla came on board and kind of pushed the market. And I would say kicked the traditional automakers a little bit, and they woke up, and so, but they're doing it in a very safe way. They're doing it in a space that they really understand. But no, it wasn't difficult at all. As a matter of fact, it is in some cases they may even pull us and say, hey, we need this technology, we need it now. We're doing some different things, and so it becomes as important to them as it does to the rest of the market.
Is this going to raise the price on cars? Is this? I mean, the cars that you mentioned are all somewhat higher end vehicles. Safety is important on every car. I would argue that, a teenager's first car is probably not going to be Cadillac or, something like that. I want to know that this is on the equivalent of what will be the 4-year-old Honda in 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are we going to see this on mid-tier cars, entry-level cars?
So yes, and so that's a perfect way to kind of segment into. We have what we call our ZF Co-Assist system, and essentially it is using the standard sensor set to meet AEB and the other safety regulation items, and we add a central computer, we put our functions on top, and you can do lane change, you can do a driver-initiated lane change, you can do traffic jam control, and it's not really extreme add-on cost to do that. To your point, my daughter is 16, she wants a car.
Okay.
And I was looking at
hand install this software on the car yourself?
I can't do that.
Doing this.
But I'm looking at a Hyundai Kona for her.
Right.
Reasonable car, reasonable price. They have a lane centering function. They have AEB, not the automated highway driving functionality, but they have the technology in there where I feel safer about her being on the road. Right. And for some of the people that can't drive, it'll do some intervening things to try to help protect her. So if you think about it in that way, an adaptive cruise control years from now, or a level 2 system where you can have lane centering and traffic jam, maybe a driver-initiated highway lane change, that price will continue to come down, and it'll be more on the standard vehicle. So we have an entry level and then a high-end system. I think the market's going that way as well. You'll start to see more of these on the mass market volume vehicles.
So where are we going to be in 5 years?
5 years.
That's what I want to know. 5 years.
5 years, we will be, I would say, higher volume of these level 2+ systems, meaning you can push a button, get on the highway, take your hands off, still must remain in the loop, but the vehicle will perform a majority of the highway driving functions for you. And I think that's really the focus. 5 years actually is not that far away in terms of quoting and delivering new product. We may also be in a space where you have people movers or shuttle services that are autonomous, no driver, in cities and dedicated lanes. We ZF support that market as well. And you'll have commercial vehicles potentially on the road delivering product from station to station autonomously, or at least platooning or something like that. So you have those 3 different markets. Pass car, hopefully you'll have a car that's affordable, that you feel good about and comfortable in, that gives you confidence that you can take your hands off the wheel and not be so stressed during a long drive.
So that's the near future. I don't know how far out you guys do your projections, but 20 years, 30 years, what are you looking at as the ultimate future of this? I mean, is autonomous driving still the ultimate goal, or do you think that more realistically in the next 2 decades, it's still a variation on automated driving?
So, me personally, I don't think that the goal should be level 4 full autonomy. I think the goal should be adding as much comfort and doing it in a safe manner. So I'd say you see a further continuation of functions and hands-off driving, but still the driver in the loop. There will be the likes of the high-end automakers that want to give their consumers a fully functioning level 4, do everything vehicle. And if you say within the next 20 years, I actually have no doubt that that will come.
Right.
But in terms of what's reasonable, in terms of affordable and pricing and mass market, I think we're going to see the functions continue to grow. Maybe you can leave your house, you exit your garage, you get in the car, you push a button, it does all the normal driving for you, and you're still in the loop.
Right.
I see extended functionality, but the driver remaining in the loop more than I see you being able to do anything you want to do or fall asleep, and that vehicle owning every function that there is. So.
Great. Well, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely the type of thing that's making our roads safer.
Yes.
That's for sure. And I know that it's making it easier. You know, it's all about making things easier for us, safer for us, and keeping the roads a place where, you know, we can keep society functioning.
Hopefully.
But I still don't have KIT.
Well, you might be able to get in the car and say, "KIT, exit now."
I want to be able to say, "KIT, leap over these 4 semis."
That I don't know about.
Okay. Stick around. We're going to have more coverage for you from CES 2020. This is Aaron Jefferson. He's from ZF. Automated, not autonomous, automated driving systems. I'm Brian Stillman. I'm here with BeTerrific. Stick around. We'll have a lot more coming your way.